Hello, welcome to the Creabea Knitting Podcast. Today we're talking all about Tolstas. Hello, welcome, my name's Rebecca. I'm a knitter and knitwear designer based in Edinburgh, and this is like a vlog or a podcast about my knitting, and today I'm going to focus on two of my patterns, the Tolsta Tee and the Tolsta Tank, and that is because I've just kicked off a knit along. So I'm going to go up front with all the details and then I'm going to try them all on, tell you about the yarn, tell you about the fit, tell you what I like and don't like about them, and yeah, that's the plan I think. A lot of my tanks are newer, so my tanks I'm going to save for, I also have been talking about that a lot recently, so I'll save the tanks for the end. I'm going to start with the tees and yeah, we'll see. I feel like I have more to say about the t-shirts because most of them are at least a year old, if not longer, whereas the tanks, like some of them are a little bit older, but for the most part they've not had quite as much wear. Up front with all the admin. Number one, a week ago we brought home a puppy. Puppy is asleep in his crate. He likes to fall asleep watching knitting podcasts. He also likes Bridgerton. He might just like me lying next to him and that's what I like to watch, but he really watches the screen. So we woke up for a little bit, but we sat back down and we put some Andrew Murray podcast on and we fell back asleep. So if you hear any noises, it's Puppy. Number two is the CAL. So the CAL stands for knit along. It's basically where a group of people knit together either a pattern or knit within a theme or knit with a certain yarn, and there's usually something that ties it all together, and then there are prizes. So I kicked off the Tolsta Time CAL on Friday, and for the CAL you can knit any of the Tolsta patterns, so the t-shirt or the tank top. It's going to run from now until the end of August. You can take part on Instagram by using the hashtag TolstaTime, or there's a Ravelry group, which I rarely do but I want to be as inclusive as possible, so I'll put the link for that down below. It runs until the end of August and I'll be giving away prizes, I think every 2 weeks is my plan, but we'll see how often I film, to be honest, and my plan is to give away Tolsta quantities of some of my favourite yarns to knit Tolstas with, or yarns I want to try in the future. So yeah, if you like to take part, you feel free. I thought it was quite nice because there's a t-shirt, there's a long sleeve and there's a tank top, and so hopefully wherever you are in the world, when there's DK and there's 4-ply, so wherever you are in the world, hopefully you could take part. It's not that it's, I don't know, if you're in Australia or New Zealand or somewhere that it's currently getting cold again for winter, you can still take part. So yeah, there's something else I was going to say. Oh yeah, so last week, so the Tolsta Tank came out last Friday. It is a tank top, DK, fingering weight, bust shaping options, 3 necklines. The Tolsta Tee came out early March last year, so 2023. However, on Friday, 2 days ago, I released an update to that pattern, and the update included a long sleeve option, so there's a separate document to follow with separate sleeve instructions if you want long sleeves, and there's bust shaping. So there's a bit more detail on the Ravelry page about deciding whether you need bust shaping or not, but ultimately it's really just a case of whether your full bust and your upper bust have a big enough gap between them that you should have some shaping, or you can use some shaping. I don't require bust shaping, so it's not something I usually do in my patterns, but with this being such a clean, classic basic, I wanted to make sure it would fit as many people as possible. I've had some test knitters test the bust shaping, we've had some test knitters do the long sleeves, and that's all now in the document. And on Ravelry, all the sizes are there, all the yardages are there, and there's some instructions on measuring yourself and choosing your sizes. I think that's everything. My last thing is that I have around about 100cm bust. I've not measured today, but that is the measurement I normally go off of. It can fluctuate between like 100 and 105, I guess. And I'm at the size 3 Tolsta pretty much all the time. I am a bit cheeky though, which is that if I'm short on yarn or if I'm being particularly lazy, I'll cast on and I'll knit until the yoke fits the way I want it to, and then I'll just knit the body. So there are definitely some samples which are much more tighter fitting. I didn't expressly go down a size, I just finished the yoke earlier. And when I've done that, I'll point that out. I think that's everything. So without further ado, let's change into our first Tolsta. Ta-da! So I love this one, and I love it because I knit this not because I was looking to like design a t-shirt, but because I had a hole in my wardrobe and I wanted a summer t-shirt with a really loose open gauge fabric. They knit up quickly, easy to wear, no fuss. I find that a lot of summer patterns are quite fussy. There's a lot of like lace and trims and da-da-da-da. I wanted clean and I couldn't find what I wanted, so I knit one. And it's before I'd even considered designing, so technically this is my first ever design, which is nice because it is also by far my most popular design. It's not quite bang on the numbers, I will say. I went back and did some changing. There's a little bit of gaping here that I don't love, I don't mind it. It's super easy to wear. I don't think anyone else is judging me for it, but that is sort of something I changed. But yeah, it is knit up in Drops Bell in the colour Pink Sand, and this is now, this will be its third summer, and it's super easy wearing. It has washed and worn beautifully. This is fabric, it's got a really nice drape to it. The stitch, sorry, the window's open so it's really bird noisy. The gauge for this is 17 stitches per 10 centimetres. I use a DK weight yarn, so it is quite like a looser gauge, but I just find it makes it for the easiest thing to wear, and whether it's warm weather or like a little bit warm, a little bit cooler, I'm pretty happy wearing Tolsta just about everywhere. So yeah, OG, first ever, Drops Bell, has worn really well, no complaints. The only reason I don't wear this as often is because of the colour. It's pretty close to my skin colour, and I think I suit a bright a little bit more, so I don't tend to reach for this one as often, but I love it and I would not part with it. Let's try on number 2. Okay, so when I decided to design this pattern, this was my first sample. I knit this up in woolly knit cotton, which is a cone of yarn. It's held double and I really like this yarn. I have really not knit with it much since then, and I think that's probably an error on my part. I think it's because I don't love I don't dislike their colours, but I'm just not crazy about some of the colours. They're quite faded, which is nice, but not really, like, I've been looking for brights recently, and so I think I've not gone for it as much, but I loved it. The yarn was sent to me as a collaboration for this, and yeah, no regrets. This has been through the wash often. I tend to knit my Tolstas after like 2 wears usually, because they are like, they're next to skin, they're under the armpits. It's usually in the summer when it's a bit warmer, and also I find that plant fibres lose their structure more readily, so they sometimes get a bit like bagged out, and just putting them in the wash fixes that. So technically my first actual Tolsta once I knew what was happening, and definitely hands down my most worn of all of them. Super easy, something a bit different, feels a bit fancier than a t-shirt, but not really that fancy, still really easy to throw on. And yeah, it has got stripes it's got 8 rows of plain and then 2 rows of stripes, and the collar has slightly more, it's a deeper collar. I think I did 8 rows of ribbing and the original pattern's only 5. Number 3. Ta-da! So this is also in woolly knit cotton in, I think, apple green, and I love this version. I really wanted to, with the original t-shirt, make it as versatile as possible, and so I wanted samples that showed just how many things you could do with a basic t-shirt. So I had stripes, I had plain, and this is my lace pattern. You can see the sleeves are best to show. So there's a garter ridge, and then there's this garter lace, so it's like a row of garter, a row of yarn over knit 2 together, and then a row of garter again, so it makes this kind of like embossed lace. And then there's a picot edge on both the sleeves and on the neckline. Super fun, super easy to do. Doesn't get all that much wear, and the reason it doesn't get wear is because I need to purchase a nude coloured camisole, because you can't, I mean, you can kind of tell in the video, I'm wearing like a black bra under this and you can see through these holes. I don't think it's that big of a deal, and with my white version, which I don't have today because my mother has stolen it and tells me all the time how much she loves it, but it was one of my favourites and it's now hers. With that white one, with a white bra underneath, it felt fine, but for some reason if it's white under I can just see white, if it's black under I can just see black. I just need to buy a nude camisole and I'll wear with way more. It's a little bit more cropped length, this one, which I also quite like. It works really well with my jeans. But again, that nude cami would just make me feel like I wasn't going to flash anyone. And otherwise, I really like this one. It's really fun, it's really different, like the lace, very easy to do with like no real fuss or anything. And I should say, for the original Tolsta, I added an extra document called Tolsta Mods. It's in the Ravelry download, it's in the Etsy download. Those birds are really going at it, aren't they? We gotta close this window. Yeah, okay, I should have done that earlier. There's a separate document and it has all of the tester versions and what everyone did to make those versions, and this is also included. I don't have that for the tank top, but I do have it for the t-shirt. So if you're like, oh, I wanted that lace, how was it, what was done, that is all in there. It's not super detailed, it's a picture and a couple of lines of information, but you can find that there. I'm counting the numbers, but I'm aware that I have no idea how many of these I have, so let's just move on to the next one and I'll count them up at the end and see. I think I have 11, I think. Let's find out. It's my sparkly one. So this is like my Christmas Tolsta last year. I don't know if anyone else gets this, but I just get FOMO when everyone's wearing like cute Christmas jumpers. I just need to knit a Christmas jumper one year, but I've not yet done that. And so last year I was like, oh, I want something sparkly. I think I actually cast this on like between Christmas and New Year. I wanted it for New Year. And I think it's struggling to pick up the sparkle, but it's definitely there. It's quite evident in real life, but the cameras would be not picking it up quite as much. A little bit. It is Tolsta Tee pattern, knit with 2 strands of Isire mohair and 1 strand of Stellaris from Creabea Soul Wool. It's really cool. It's basically like a piece of thread got dragged through glitter glue and all the bits of glitter are stuck to it. So it's not like a pure glitter thread, but it means that you get these like relatively sporadic sparkles because that's where the globs are on the yarn, and I really like it. It doesn't get worn all that much, and that's because there aren't that many occasions to wear a black sparkly t-shirt in my life. But I'm not going to part with this anytime soon because I know that when Christmas comes around, like, this is a really cute thing to shove on with like a pair of jeans or like a black skirt and wear to the office, or like if you go out for drinks around festive period, it's nice to be a little bit sparkly. And that's why I watch what this is. I thought when I knit it, it would be sheer. I'd have to wear camisole underneath it, but it's not at all. I'm sure if you look closely you can see through it, but yeah, that's just the fabric, no camisole, and I think it's pretty, yeah, I would wear it as is. I wouldn't wear it with anything underneath it. I wonder if I'm going to edit the video and look back and you can see through it more than I realised, and from now on I'll start wearing it with a camisole, but as far as I know, I wear this one without a camisole. Okay, I think we have 4 left. Okay, so I wanted to show versatility with pattern, and I did this one by embroidering these little daisies on it. But honestly, I never wear this, and I think I need to cut the daisies off. Fully honest. This is also knit in woolly knit cotton, super easy to wear. I think I would get I struggle to wear navy, to be honest. I wear quite a lot of black, and now obviously navy and black don't go, so I do struggle to get wear of it, but I do just think that if this was a plain navy t-shirt I would just wear it more. There's one daisy here on the back bottom that I just think is so cute, and I think I would leave that one and just cut the rest off. I have seen some really, really lovely, insanely good embroidery with like beads and I don't know, lots of different options on project pages. I get tagged on them quite often. There's a book called Embroidery on Knits, I think, and I'm not sure if that comes with patterns as well or if it's just the embroidery, but I've seen quite a few people combine the Tolsta Tee with embroidery on knits and then embroider on top of it, and honestly it's a plain stockinette backdrop, so it's a great practice, I think. I might do that this year. Maybe I'll make a Christmas jumper this year and like write something on my jumper, maybe. But until then, yeah, this isn't for me. I just need to cut these out because they're cute, they're easy to sew on and they're fun, but they just it feels a little bit too like ditzy, a little bit too kiddish, and doesn't really fit in my wardrobe. So great tee, bad embellishments. Well, they're not bad, just I'm over it. If I want to wear this t-shirt, I need to cut them off. So this one is my one with the most little ease. I think it honestly has some negative ease. I like the fit a lot, I really do. I lengthened the sleeves a little bit, so they're a touch longer than the pattern calls for, and yeah, there's a little bit of negative ease. I should probably measure this. I think it's got maybe like 4 or 5 centimetres of negative ease. It is knit on hand-dyed yarn, and I wanted a t-shirt in a Scottish yarn to take to a festival, and I didn't have one, and I started a different yarn and didn't like how it was knitting up. The pulling, I didn't like it. So this is from Nervous Fibre, who is currently on maternity leave. I'm not sure if she's going back to dye anytime soon. In the colour like Wildberry, Winterberry I think, and it is sock yarn held double, and I had 2 skeins. The reason it's got negative ease is because I wanted to make sure I wouldn't run out of yarn. I didn't. I have loads of this yarn left, but actually I'm still really happy with the fit, and I do think if I was to knit this again in future, when I knit a next Tolsta Tee, which honestly I'll knit one at some point, I'm actually knitting one for the Cal, but I don't want it to be this one. I want that one to have more ease. I do think I'll knit one at some point that's plain that just has negative ease because I just think it fits really, really nicely. It is a little bit cropped. Again, I thought I was running out of yarn, but at this point I think I've just been lazy because I would have known by now I had yarn left. But yeah, really nice. So that was a pair, that was 2 skated sock yarn. Of course not every size is going to get that out of it, but I was really pleased that I could. And yeah, does not get worn very often. I think having a wool t-shirt is actually more functional than I think of it being, but I don't really know what to wear this with all the time. And I do think that despite loving the fit, I think my mum would really like this one. She goes into the office a lot, and I think like this with some slacks. I go to an office, but my office is very casual. And I think this could go really nicely with like her businessy outfit. Businessy outfits, I don't know. I think it could look really nice with that one. So potentially this one is going to my mum. She doesn't watch, so she won't know. So if I change my mind, she won't be able to come at me for it. Okay, I have 2 left. My favourite one of all time and my only fingering weight version. So it's my only fingering weight version, and if you want to know how much I dislike knitting and fingering weight, you can tell by the fact that this t-shirt is definitely too cropped. Which is the reason I really just don't wear it. I like this fabric. It is, did I say the yarns for everything else? Yeah, sorry, I suddenly panicked and thought I wasn't telling you the yarns, but I have been. It is knit in, I actually think it's back to front. I think it is. It was on back to front. It is now back to the right way around. It is still pretty cropped even the right way around though. I wore my next Tolsta that I'm going to show to knit night a few weeks ago and realised like 10 minutes into knit night that my t-shirt was on back to front. It has short rows to make sure that the back neck sits, you can't really see from here, but the back sits slightly higher than the front neck, just for that like, a way more comfy fit. And I need to, on my plain version, sew some labels or do something because they really just don't fit otherwise. Or I put them on and realise halfway through the day they're back to front. This version is knit in Knitting for Olive Cotton Merino, which is lovely. It's really drapey, really open. It's a much lighter fingering weight. It's 250 meters per 50 grams, which is really, really like, I don't know, nearing lace weight territory. I think lace weight is like 600 meters per 100 grams. So very, very light fingering. But it works with the pattern. The fingering weight gauge is 24 stitches, which is again looser than a normal fingering weight gauge, 4-ply gauge. But it still, I don't know, again, maybe in my video I'll look back and be like, oh yeah, you can see right through that, but I can wear it without a camisole underneath. What was I going to say? Oh, I knit this with the classic neckline, which is slightly wider than like a few of my other ones. I should have said my red one I just showed. I cast on a fewer number of stitches at the neck, work the ribbing, and then increase out those stitches just the size one below mine, so it's 4 fewer stitches, and then I add them back in underneath the neckline, and it gives a slightly closer neck fit. It makes you feel a bit more sporty. But for this one, I didn't do that, so it's still got this like more open. It's not quite boat neck, because that would be like out here, but it is just a bit more open. I keep saying if I find this yarn, I will lengthen it, but I've not done that yet. So it basically never gets worn because it is definitely too short, but it's my only fingering weight sample, so I also don't want to get rid of it. But I need to clear my yarn out pretty soon. I'm hoping to make a video out of it, maybe next weekend. And yeah, when Puppy can sleep or Puppy can occupy himself for more than an hour at a time, we'll be doing that. But until then, I don't know where the rest of this yarn is. If I find the yarn, then I will make a priority to lengthen this t-shirt. And if I don't find the yarn, then maybe I just have to give this to someone who's shorter than me or is happy to wear it cropped. Either of those work. I said one more. I actually have 2 more tees to show. So second to last one coming. And it's my favourite Tolsta. Again, I put this one all the way around and had to try it on again. I feel like it's bunching here and I've never seen this happen before, so I don't really know what's going on. I also feel like it's only on one side. Maybe it's just a shadow. This version is knit up in Knitting for Olive silk, pure silk, held double. It's blowing my camera out like crazy, but it's a really like tomatoey orange red. I love it. I think this is like one of my colours, so I'm trying to knit more in this colour, and this is the perfect way to do it. I panic knit this for Rhinebeck last year, and then it was so cold the whole time. It was like rainy and wet and cold. But for some reason I was like, oh, it's going to be dry and I need to, and warm one of the 2 days, and I don't have a t-shirt I want to wear despite already owning 8 Tolsta Tanks, so I knit this one up. I wore it one day under something else, but otherwise it did not get worn. I took this one to New Zealand with me though, and I wore it maybe day one, I think, the day we went all around Auckland. I like it a lot. It's probably my favourite one to wear. Looking at it right now, I think I would lengthen the sleeves if I was to knit it again, because I think that they're bunching up. And the biggest issue I have with this one, I'm going to show you my armpit just so you know, is that it has felted. Oh, you can't even really see it that much. Maybe you can see it there. It has felted like crazy under the arm. So it's like stretched a little bit here and then it's felted in between. And it's so odd. This does not happen on any other sample I have, but it has on this one. So it's maybe the silk. In my head, the silk would be strong and wouldn't felt, but it definitely has. So it's my only experience knitting with this pure silk. Has anyone else had this with a pure silk? I'm not sure. It would not stop me knitting with it again. I don't really mind too much. I have a few, it's right next to my armpit, and I do wonder, as I'm saying this, when I knit this, did I get a bit impatient and cut the yoke too early, and because of that this is happening and then it's too close to my armpits? That's a definite possibility. Is this user error? Maybe. But yeah, I love this one. I still wear it a lot. I find it a really easy colour to put in my wardrobe. I can wear it with jeans and feel pretty cool and a bit more fashionable, like a bit more, it feels like a bit more than a plain t-shirt. And the silk is lovely. It feels really nice. It doesn't feel like what I would think of silk being in my head. It feels quite woolly to me. And yeah, it puffed up a lot with washing. So I do think when you knit the pure silk, it's almost a bit stringy, but it washed up and it feels very, like it filled the gaps a lot more. This one does feel more dense than my others, I would say, which is surprising because again, it's a lightweight fingering. So held double, it's still pretty lightweight. Cool, so I've only got my long sleeve Tolsta Tank, my long sleeve Tolsta Tee left to show, but my wrap up of my Tolsta Tees is that, let's see, my favourite yarn to knit my Tolsta Tee in is definitely the woolly knit cotton. The original yarn was gifted, so I feel like I have to say that with a caveat, like I didn't pay for that yarn. At the same time I would buy some more. And I have a summer tee that I think is going to be a next year tee, but as I'm talking here, I think I'm going to order some of their yarn for that, because I think that's like the best wearing option that I've had. I need to stop being so lazy and cropping them too short. I also cropped this one and had to go back and add 5 centimetres to this, and this is now a pretty good length for me. I like that a lot. It's just like, that's my waist, that's my top of my jeans. So I've got like 5 centimetres past it, and that works for me quite well. Stop being lazy and cropping them short. Stop being lazy and ending the yoke early. Just knit the pattern. And get some more woolly knit cotton, I think, are my big takeaways from that one. And cut those stab flowers off my blue one so I can wear that one more. Okay, my interim then is my long sleeve. So let me put that one on and then we'll move on to the tank tops. Ta-da! We have sleeves! So this is my long sleeve Tolsta. I started with Tolsta construction and then I was a good bit over gauge. I think it blocked out to be a full stitch bigger, so it's giving lots of ease. I still love this. I think it's super cozy. I wear it all the time and I have no issues with it. But I do have another one on my needles so that I can show the actual pattern at the actual gauge with the actual sleeves, rather than just making fake samples that are not really even the whole pattern. It has everything I want in a raglan. Again, I feel like this light is doing me dirty with the gaping here, because I feel like this is not something I usually notice, and yet I'm filming today and I feel like there's too much fabric here. Come back to the front as well. No, it's the right way around. I can see the short rows, I think. So yeah, again, I don't know what this is, but it does not affect me at all wearing this one. This is knit up in Cascade 220 and Mayo Garn Pearl Mohair. The Cascade is the colour Orchid and the Mohair is the colour Mauve. I love this. I think it's super easy, fun to wear, really nicely coloured, makes you feel pretty cool. I like it. It's a nice warm layer to tuck on things. The cool thing about the Tolsta gauge is that it's 17 stitches, which is traditionally like a worsted weight gauge. So if I was actually knitting it to as densely as yarn should be knit, then it's a worsted weight gauge. Jeez, I'm struggling with my words today. So this one actually is knit pretty much at worsted weight. So everything else is DK with a bit fluffy, but this is I say worsted, do I mean Aran? not even sure. We are not sleeping a whole lot with Puppy this week, or like we're sleeping fine but we're waking up a couple times in the night, and my brain, my processing ability is definitely dropped, so yeah, my words are not coming quite so freely. This is yeah, the normal gauge I would expect for a mohair held with Cascade. So it's not at all about that. It's still nice drapey, it's a nice fabric, but it is like a warmer gauge and a warmer sweater as a result of that. I would say take it with a pinch of salt because it technically is the Tolsta instructions, but because of the blocking out, it's just ended up way bigger. But it's super cozy. I like it a lot. I like both these yarns. I'm a big Cascade fan, if you did not already know. And this was the first time trying Myogarn mohair, and I liked it. It was quite fluffy as opposed to silky, but I didn't mind that. And it's done up really nicely. Again, I'm right next to a window and it is definitely blowing out a little bit. It's definitely more, yeah, it's quite purpley. It's bubbling a little bit on the sleeves, but not problematically so. You see a little bit there with the mohair. Yeah, you can just pluck off whole chunks. I think this will get a lot of wear when it starts to get cold again. Cool, so let's do a little Tolsta Tee wrap. 8 short sleeves, 1 long sleeve, and quite a few that aren't here. They've been given away. My mother has stolen them. And I'm casting a new one on. So probably not today. I kind of hoped it'd be today, but today's going to turn out a bit too busy and I've got some other projects I really want to finish. But maybe when I finish my other long sleeve Tolsta, I will cast on my tank version. It's going to be striped. And then maybe we'll just put a little pin in it because I'm knitting a lot of Tolstas and I have another super simple tee that I'm knitting on for next summer. And I want to focus on that one. So yeah, that is the tees done. Let's move on to the tanks. So here's my little pile of tanks. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 9, 10 tanks I think. I'm not going to try these all on because I have pictures of them all from the launch last week, but I thought I would talk you through each of them and say talk a bit about them and whether I reach for them or not. The tees, like I say, I've had for ages. The tanks, less so. And it's also just been like right now, it is just, yeah, that sky, it's just grey and miserable here in Scotland. And that has been our summer so far. So they've not had much wear. It's only June, maybe we'll get time to wear them, but for the most part, we'll wait and see. So, first things first is my very first sample. I had never knit a vest before, and so this is me like learning on the job, and there are definitely some issues. The primary issue is I didn't put enough space between the front and the back. Just making sure it's the right way around, it's that way I think. And so as you can see, the back is like a centimetre higher than the front, and so it pulls because in the same way that with short rows, we use short rows to add like a wedge of fabric to go over the back of our neck. Vests, we knit the back longer so that we don't have that, and I just didn't knit it long enough. So yeah, it's also super cropped. The Tolsta Tank, because all 3 versions, just stand here like this while I talk. Because all 3 versions of the tank are knit the same way from the bottom up, and then they only separate under the sleeves, you knit bottom up. And so quite a few test knitters did a provisional cast on and then decided the length at the end. I didn't do that for any of mine, so all of mine are just the length I knit them. This is too short. It wouldn't be too bad if the back was longer enough, because then I could still wear it cropped with like high-waisted skirts, but it's probably not ideal because I do end up, like, it only really works if I can tuck it in properly, and I only have a few outfits I can wear that with. I won't be getting rid of any of these anytime soon because they've not even had a full season. I mean, this has had last summer too, but I'll probably wait and see if I wear them and then decide at the end, maybe start of next summer, how many of these I'm going to keep. I think I have too many, both tees and tanks. I don't wear them all enough, so I am already thinking about what I'm going to do. I think towards the end of this year I'll be having a sample sale for a charity and be selling off some of my samples, and I think I'll be including some Tolsta tees in that. This one is bad in that it doesn't fit properly, so this would not get sold to anyone. So So I don't know what to do. Unravel the yarn maybe and use it again, or just keep it as a memento until I get sick of it and run out of space. Okay, the second one then is a square neck version, and I don't love the stripes on this, to be honest. I'm not really, I don't know, the blue and they're not really my colours so much. I will say, I didn't love knitting with this yarn. It is dropped cotton merino. It's held up really well. It is a little, it kind of like bobbles out a little bit, if that makes sense. Like, it looks kind of rotund. It doesn't drape quite as nicely as the linen does in the dropped bell, but it is worn up really nicely. It's a nice fabric, and I didn't like knitting with it, but I would probably consider it again in the future, which sounds completely ridiculous, to be perfectly honest, but the fabric is really nice. It's making me want to make this other t-shirt I have planned in some of this. I might have a look at the colours again, because it's just a really nice even fabric. Or maybe I was a bit too harsh just knitting this so quickly. So yeah, that is my tank top. It also was quite nice as a tank top because it's got these ribbed, I mean, you can do folded cuff bands, you can do eye cords, but for the rib, it does, of course, on your shoulder, like it stretches a little bit, it stretches quite wide, and the cotton merino has never stretched out, whereas the linen does after a wear, and I have to put it back in the wash. So maybe a tip. Okay, this is probably my favourite Tolsta Tank. It is knit in Drops Bell, and I love this one so much because of the folded over neckband and the folded over armbands. Big fan, nothing more to say about this one. Definitely the one I've worn the most. It's quite long, so I purposely knit this one a bit longer so I could like tuck it in and stuff. I probably went a bit too long. Doesn't need to be quite this long. It could have probably been 4 or 5 centimetres shorter. But yeah, I like this one a lot. Feels quite sporty, feels quite fun. I think it's my favourite. Potentially this is actually my favourite, which is the black one. The black one gets worn the most. So maybe it is the black one. It's a bit more boring. I wore this a lot last summer. The armbands bag out in the rain. So in true Scottish weather, I can tell you that if I get caught in the rain in this black one, and then I go out and do a day and like I'm warm, by the end of the day the band will have like snuck down below my bra strap and the bra strap will appear. It's kind of annoying, but I also just chuck it in the wash and then it comes back fine. I think it's just the nature of the yarn. This is also Drops Bell. There's, I think I've mentioned before, but there's Drops Bell, there's King Cole Linendale, there's Shanna's Garn Lena. They're all the same, pretty much exactly the same makeup. So I've used them all pretty interchangeably. I think this one is Bell, but especially the black and the white. I think I went for Bell because it's the cheapest, but also it could be Santa's Garn. The only one I know for sure is Santa's Garn is the pink. I think it's Bell. This one is also Bell. This is my camisole. It is up in this beautiful green colour, apple green, and it is on the way to Australia and New Zealand, and then wore it a lot when I was out there. I think I'm going to go back and add some ribbing around the neckline because I love wearing this. So the way I wore it a lot when we were away, it had a tie wrap skirt and I was wearing a swimsuit, and then we were like, go to the beach and go to the pool, and I just chucked this over, and that was so perfect. I'm not in that scenario very often in my life. So I think what I need to do is, I think a bit more coverage around the front would just make it something I could wear on like not a super hot day. So I will probably just add ribbing to the armhole and to the front and the neckband, and just do a central double decrease at the front neck, and this has become a bit more wearable. It's very elegant and very open, but yeah, just not quite the look I was going for. Or it's the look I was going for, it's just not the most wearable thing based on where I live. Okay, the other camisole's actually not in the pictures because I finished it after it, but this is my other one. I did this really fun black crochet edging around it. And here's the deal. I think it looks a bit like a nightie, and not in a cool way. It feels a bit like a combination of a bit indecent combined with a bit frumpy. It's a weird one. I think it's because it's white. So I've got a double plan. The first plan is I want this to be deeper. Now I crochet the edging, and I'm wondering if maybe I do a blanket stitch instead of a crochet. Can I then go further into the fabric? I'm not sure. And secondly, I think I have to do a different colour. I think maybe a red or like a lime green will make this a bit more fun, a bit more of a pop, because right now it really just feels a bit like night dress. thoughts on that one. I'm open to thoughts. It's my most recently finished one. I also could just make it all black. Maybe that's the way I'll get the most wear out of it, is an all black camisole, to be perfectly honest. But yeah, it didn't quite execute the vision. It looks the way I thought it was. I wanted it to look in my head, but the way I wanted it to look was not as cool as I thought it would be. Thoughts and insights welcome. Okay, I have 3 more. It's my other square neck one. I felt like I had to make a square neck one that was in a plain colour to show the samples, and yeah, it's really fun. Again, if it's remotely nice weather, something else comes to the top of my list, and I think if it was constantly hot weather this summer, I would be cycling through these more regularly, but it's not, so I've not really had a chance to wear it, so not much to say. I do love this, the square neck. I love this petrol blue. I think the fit of this is glorious. It's got more drape because it's also Santa's Garden Bell, no, Trot's Bell in the colour petrol blue, so it's got a bit more drape to it, which I really like. Like, yeah, you can just see it feels like kind of like inky, and yeah, just not being worn much, unfortunately. I do love, my first sample was the striped one, and I did 2 stitches on the edging before I did my decreases. You can modify it to do that, by the way. That's an easy modification. I stuck with a pattern on this one, which is just 1 stitch, so it's got this 1 stitch line, which I like. I think it's really clean on both sides. So yeah, doesn't get worn very much. If the sun will come, I will wear. Okay, also favourite, the vest style is definitely my favourite. I think it's the one that I wear the most. I mentioned before that I am not a very, like, I don't show a whole lot of skin ever, really. Oh, he's having a nightmare. Maybe just a dream, but he's a bit yappy. He stopped. So the vest to me is the most covered up one, and so I think it's the one I'm most comfortable wearing. There's this one that's super fun. This is my Barbie pink one. I bought this again maybe to make a Tolsta, and I'm super glad I made a tank top instead. I think this is super fun. This is the one that I think I would reach for on like the first sunny hot day of the year, if it ever comes. This is definitely in Santa's Garden Lena. It feels exactly the same as Trot's Bell. It knit up the same way, and it's Bell's like half the price, but Lena has some really nice colours. So yeah, love this one. If only we could get the weather. And then my very last one to wrap up is my woolly version. I've had so many messages about this. I actually, for the first time in probably about 1.5 years, made a Ravelry page because I got so many questions. This is a mashup of the camisole front with the vest back. So I cast on the number of stitches that the pattern tells me to, and I worked them flat. So this is obviously, it's open, right? So I worked them flat, did my ribbing, worked it to the body, and then when I split for this under the arms, I split into camisole, camisole, vest, worked the vest exactly as written and got to the shoulders, worked each camisole front exactly as given, and the pattern tells you to join the shoulders. I joined the shoulders the way I would normally. I did an I-cord on each of the arms. I did an I-cord along the fronts at the bottom, so like, so along here and along here I did an I-cord, and then I started an I-cord, I can undo this. So yeah, I did one from like, an I-cord from like here downwards, that's one I-cord. And then I started an I-cord, not attached, picked up stitches all around the back neck, worked the I-cord all the way around the back neck, and then other side, worked the I-cord until the end, and then cast off. And it's really fun. This one is definitely my most like Scotland wearable one, because it is, yeah, it's just Scotland wear, but it makes way more sense. So I'm really relieved to have this one. I have a feeling that what I'm going to do when it gets to slightly warmer weather is I think I'm going to make a v-neck vest version, and it might be something I add to the pattern next summer. I think at the gauge it is, I could really see myself wearing this. I really want to make one with like rainbow mohair scraps. And I just think, I love the vest. I think the vest, part of me is like, I'll just combine the camisole with the vest, but I think I want the vest to have a little bit more underarm shaping for a v-neck v-neck. So I'm going to keep the underarm, add a v-neck to the vest, and then add some ribbing. That again could be I-cord or whatever. And I might test that out when autumn comes around this year, and then wear it, I don't know, just like maybe a green or a mohair version, and I just wear it with like a white t-shirt underneath. And it could be a woolly version. This is knit up in Knitting for Olive. Midsummer Merino held double. Oh, I would make it in this fabric again. This fabric is stunning. It's really, really lovely. It is Knitting for Olive Merino held double with a strand of Knitting for Olive silk mohair, and they're both in the colourway pomegranate. So yeah, I have, let's see, let's do the math. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 and 9. 9 vests. Definitely too many, more than I need for sure. I wanted to show variety and they're so quick. I think it took me 3 days to knit one, so they're just a bit addictive. But I will wear them in the summer if we get the weather and go from there. I think my next cast on will be a V-neck vest version, or a round neck vest version with rainbow mohair. And we'll go from there. So those are all my Tolstas. There's currently a massive hole in my wardrobe because I pulled all of these out and that's where they normally all fit. Hope this is fun to see them all. I usually do like a everything I've knit in a year video, and it's so fun to go back and see everything and be like, oh, this is what I wear, and this is how the yarn is worn up, and like that's always really fun. So it was nice to do it with my Tolstas and show them all off, and it's just nice to think about them and think like, why do I wear some more than others? Reminder then, the knit along has launched, so it is live from now. I will put the Ravelry group down below and also like the hashtag, but it is hashtag Tolsta Time on Instagram. All you need to do is post a picture on Instagram with a hashtag, or post on the Ravelry thread with what you're working on. And I'll be drawing prizes pretty regularly until the end of August. If you are interested, the patterns, I'll put them down below as well. The Tolsta Tank went live last week. It is, as I said, yeah, DK and 4-ply. I have no 4-ply vests. I just never knit them. But there is the vest version, there is the camisole version, and there is the square neck version, all included in the same pattern. So a lot of bang for your buck, as they say, and both of them have the same, like all of the versions have the same bust shaping. The t-shirt then is already live and has been for a long time. There are also loads and loads of projects on Ravelry, like a couple of thousand I think. So if you want to have a look at some more inspiration, I would advise that. I do that every once in a while. I just go look at the Ravelry projects and see what is on there and what I might be inspired by. If you already had the pattern and you purchased it on Ravelry, you should have received the update on Friday. If you had the pattern via Etsy, you'll have to email me for the update because Etsy doesn't let me send out updates. Not me, but Etsy is a concept. I'm not banned from Etsy, don't worry. Etsy doesn't offer a system in which to update people. But you can drop me an email at the pattern in the email on the pattern and I'll send you the update. And the update that went out on Friday includes long sleeves for the Tolsta and bust shaping for the Tolsta Tee as well. That is it. I am working slowly and surely on another pattern at the same gauge as these, but it's definitely a next summer thing if it comes into existence, so we'll just keep plodding along until then. And I hope you enjoyed watching. I had a really good time filming this. I am super tired now, I have to go for a nap. Or maybe just some quiet knitting time whilst I wait and see if Puppy stays asleep. He's been asleep now for 2 hours, so we're nearing the end of the nap I think. That is okay. Maybe he'll be up and energetic and ready to play again, which is also pretty cute. That's all from me. I'll be back next week with a regular podcast episode, which again, I'll be timing around puppy nap time. And until then, happy knitting. Bye!